It says houses below this sign subject to flooding at any time 9 times, and I'm going to assume that's 8 years, not 6. So that's Richards. And after he posted these signs, a lot of realtors and people down this road who were trying to sell their homes were having a difficult time. So sometimes in the middle of the night they used to try to take his signs down. And I can't say I blame them. In South Carolina you get flooding in a lot of different areas because of heavy rains, and then you get a lot of, you got these swamps like this swamp, and it reaches its full capacity after a while. And this swamp over here, you can see the water, standing water. And then when you get the heavy rains up in Columbia and Florence and Conway, they have water levees up there, and they don't want to flood their neighborhoods, especially where all the affluent people live. And so they let the levees go, and the water comes down over here to Myrtle Beach, and Myrtle Beach gets a lot of flooding. It's a really beautiful place to live, but you don't want to live in a flood zone. And all these homes were flooded quite a few times in the last 8 years. In fact, they just declared it a flood zone about a year ago. I think it was, this is 2024, so January of 2022, it was declared a flood zone. And all these people, all these beautiful little homes, everyone moved here, to escape the harsh climate of the north. Most of these people are Yankees, mostly from New York City, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And they escaped the harsh weather, and a lot of them retired, came here, and they didn't know this was a flood zone, and they bought a home here, and they ended up getting flooded out. And because it was not a flood zone and flood insurance was not required, a lot of them had to pay expenses out of pocket to rebuild their homes. And so my warning to you is, before you move, do your due diligence and research the area. You can go online and look at the FEMA flood zone map. Sometimes the realtor won't tell you. And check and see if the area was flooded, if it's designated as a flood zone. Now, some of these homes were bought by the state of South Carolina. 1088, I think, was bought. And they were given a certain amount of money from the federal government. Some of these homes are real beautiful, like that one over there. And you gotta elevate sometimes. If your home isn't elevated and you're in a flood zone like this one, you're gonna suffer the consequences. You don't want to buy into a flood zone. And then if you look around, you got to talk to your future neighbors and ask them, is there any flooding? If it's not designated as a flood zone, ask your neighbors, your future ones, and say, hey, have you experienced any flooding in the last 10 years? And most of the time they're going to be honest, unless they're trying to sell a property also. Then they might not be so honest. But ask your neighbors and find out before you move. Not after you move, before you move. Because if you don't ask, oh, this is the Black River. This is like a waterway. It's a waterway, and it holds water during the floods. And this waterway, during extreme flooding, and when they up north they release their water levees, this gets overflowed, and so that causes also flooding. Like the levees from Columbia, Florence, and Conway, when they start releasing their waterways so they don't receive flooding, we get the flooding in Myrtle Beach. And all this water goes over the banks and goes over here and floods all these homes. So do your due diligence before you move. Make sure you're not moving into a flood zone, and also ask your neighbors. Don't be afraid to talk to people. No one's going to lie to you unless they're trying to sell their home also, and then they might lie to you. All right, take care, everyone. If you watched this video all the way through, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for future videos. And God bless you, and God bless your families. Thank you so much.